I was hit head on by a drunk driver. My heart stopped. I was dead for 6 minutes without a heartbeat. When I came out of the coma, I was told I would never walk again and that I had permanent brain damage. And then I decided I'll be the happiest, most grateful person I've ever been while I'm in a wheelchair.
Hal Elrod is the best-selling author and creator of The Miracle Morning, a movement that has awakened millions to the power of intentional living. In this powerful episode of the Heart Leader podcast, I have the honor of discovering the man behind the miracle. In a rare and deeply heartfelt conversation, Hal opens up about his journey, his struggles with identity, his experiences with drug use in his 20s, his evolving spiritual path, and what it truly means to be the light to millions.
I was in denial or just not aware. And then when I got cancer, I realized, I'm a workaholic and I say family's number one, but my time does not reflect that. My mission was to change 1 million lives, and I was short of my goal by 987,000. It had to play out the way that it did. Whatever you're working for in your life right now, nothing can stop you from getting there except for you.
What would you say to them as the mark for where they're striving to get to now that you can look back in hindsight and say, I've kind of walked this path and now let me be a guide? Hey, Heart Leader community, if you're liking this video, don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe. So what I would love to do is dive into Hal Elrod, The Miracle in the Making, in this podcast.
I love it. I think that's great. And Amber, it was so great to get to know you. Thank you for taking that time. There are not a lot of podcasts that, that will do this pre-call that you did, where we got to really connect and go deeper and talk about topics that I don't normally talk about, which I'm sure we'll probably dive in today, which is exciting. So yeah, thank you for having me.
It's such an honor. And I also found BookFest. The BookFest, I got to just learn that I was right beside you in The Miracle Morning After 50. Is that the name of the book?
Yeah. This is the new book. It just became available for pre-order. And it's a very special edition with everything from brain science to cellular health, everything for people to thrive in the second half of our life from age 50 and beyond.
Okay, well, let's just start there, because when I saw that pop up, we'll get into all the other awesomeness, but this is awesome too. So when I saw that on the list, I was just, my heart opened, because I hate to say it, but I've hit that mark. And now I want to know, what is it that shifts once we hit 50 and beyond that's in that book?
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's all right. My mom is 67 and she's the youngest, 67-year-old you'll ever meet, mentally, emotionally, physically. Her mindset is that, age is a number. So there's that. And of course, then there's biological realities and things that happen. And so I think that a good place to answer this question is from my co-author, Dwayne J. Clark. He is the founder of Aegis Living. He is a best-selling author, a longevity expert, and he has revolutionized 50-year-old plus folks caring for themselves. Aegis Living is one of the largest senior living facilities in America. And Dwayne founded it because he saw that people over 50 and 60s and their 70s, 80s, and beyond were lacking the care they needed. And so he reached out to me 3 years ago and said, Hal, Miracle Morning changed my life. And at the time he was in his late 60s. And he said, I really think that we need an edition of this that's just customized for folks that are over 50 to find purpose and realize that their best years are ahead. But again, that is a mindset. If you believe your best years are behind you and the worst is ahead, that's your reality. Or you create the reality of, my best years are ahead and the rest of my life will be the best of my life. And again, my mom is a living example of that.
I love that you look at it like a mindset, which for me is so profoundly true. You hit the 50 and you get all these birthday cards that says, you've hit over the hill. Good luck. Everything was in black.
Oh, yeah.
So it feeds that mindset, right?
Yeah. I think it's like anything. I often, especially when I'm dealing with some sort of challenge or limitation in my own life, whether it be physical or mental or financial or in my relationship, my marriage. I just realized that human beings, we all have our own journey, and most of us, if not all of us, go through varying levels of adversity and challenge. And so I realized that, what would I tell someone else that was going through some sort of difficulty or had a challenge? And it goes back to the most cliche advice of all time that's the most true, which is you have to make the best of your situation. You have to make the best of your reality. And so that applies, there's nowhere other than age that you have to apply that. Like, I have to make the best of this age and this day and this moment and this reality that I'm currently living. And that mindset is perpetual for the rest of our lives. And so it's like, oh, maybe I'm not as, my grandma, for example, she's 91. And I remind her of this. She has a relatively positive attitude, but every time we talk, she reminds me I'm 91, Hal, and I can't do the things I did when I was younger. And she goes, but I try to be positive. I'm as positive, And I just said, Grandma, I go, you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now. You're 91 perfect years old. And enjoy every moment and be at peace, be at peace with the things that you can't change and enjoy the things that you can. And that advice is true for us every day for the rest of our lives.
Now, in our conversation, I think this is a good bridge to that, because you had mentioned to me that there was a time in your youth that maybe this positive mindset was not always with you.
Yeah.
And you had turned to the use of substance.
Yeah. So that actually wasn't my youth. That was more in my 20s.
That's youth to me. I hate to tell you, that's youth to me at this point.
Oh yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, you're right. But no, so I was early 20s and I had a girlfriend who I loved. I was planning on marrying her. We didn't get married. We are still friends though. 26 years later. But when we were dating, she said, "Hey, have you ever tried or heard of ecstasy?" And I went, I've heard of it. I've never, tried of it, which is MDMA. And I can't think of the actual, what MDMA stands for. It's some monodinuclear whatever it stands for. But, and so I said, I've never done it, but I loved and trusted her so much. I said, I would do anything with you, And so we did it, and it felt amazing. And it opened my mind up to, and not maybe, I'm not saying this is a good thing, but I was like, oh, wow, that was so fun. That felt so good. And then I started trying all sorts of drugs. And this, by the way, came up because you said, Hal, is there anything that you don't normally talk about that people don't know about you? And I said, my first answer was probably that I did a lot of drugs in my 20s. I go, I haven't written about that. I haven't talked about that. And so, I mean, you name it, from marijuana to ecstasy to cocaine to, I don't know if I went beyond those, I never did meth or heroin or anything like that, but it sucked me in to where I started this became like a daily thing. And it took, and this is with anything, like in high school, I started smoking, and then I smoked for 6 months roughly, and every day. And then I had, and whether it's God or whatever, it's like, hey, this is now an issue. This went from being something you were trying to something you were, right now you're doing it every day. This, if you do not change it, it will lead to, this isn't a good habit or pattern. And so, I prayed. I remember in high school, I think I was a sophomore, and I said, God, please, I think I'm addicted to cigarettes. I'm doing this every day. It's been 6 months. It's getting, and it's getting out of control, and I need your help. Please help me to stop smoking. And I decided I'm going to stop smoking. I probably went 2 or 3 days. And then I'm like, my buddy's like, "You want a cigarette?" I'm like, yeah, okay. I'll just do it. And I do it. And I was like, ew, I don't like this anymore. And I took a few drags, I put it out, and I was like, interesting. And a few days later, we're at a party or something. I tried it again. I was like, I don't like this anymore. And the lesson in that for all of us, right? I think there's multiple lessons, but that happened, by the way, then in my 20s with these other drugs, harder drugs. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is now a problem. God please help me to stop doing this drug, because otherwise I could die. Like this is not good. And then I was able to stop. And so it's seeking help. No. Let me back up. A is being aware of how your behavior and your habits are impacting you. Maybe not in the present moment, because maybe you're getting away with it right now, but you got to look at the trajectory. If I continue down this path, is this habit healthy? Is it serving me? Or, and this could be eating junk food, eating too much sugar, drinking alcohol, right? AKA poison. Is this like, is this going to compound and create a positive result in my future, or might it create a negative result? And so that's it for me, is it's like looking, really evaluating and being self-aware of your habits, how they're impacting you, how they're going to impact you potentially over the long run, and then being really mindful and asking for help. That's actually not A, it's B. Okay, now I'm aware. All right, B, I need to ask for help. And for me, it's I always go to God first in prayer, and then beyond that, if need be, I ask a friend for accountability. In fact, a buddy of mine, I don't drink very much, but it's a slippery slope, and I'm having a couple drinks a week, and I was down to 0 for a while after cancer, and I just reached out. Now I'm self-aware. And then I prayed about it, but then I reached out to a friend, John Vroman. He's actually the founder of the hat that I'm wearing, Front Row Dads. And I texted him. This was literally 2 days ago, Amber. So this is very real. Like, this isn't just the past. I text John. I said, hey, do you want to do a no alcohol 30-day challenge to hold each other accountable to 0 alcohol? And he said, actually, let's bring it to the Front Row Dads group and let's see who else wants to join us. And so I think we're up to 7 guys right now that for November are going to go to 0 alcohol. And the goal for me will be to continue, because I've been there before, and, we fall back and make missteps. And now it's like getting back to the healthiest standards I can be.
Thank you for sharing that whole flow, because
Yeah.
I feel like what happens, you are so known for being the miracle man, right? Sure. You've faced cancer, you've faced so many just challenges in your life, and you have shown how one individual can make it through. But what tends to happen for individuals is they say, oh, it's easy for Hal. Hal has all of these tools and resources. He doesn't face adversity anymore because he knows how to do it.
Yeah.
So the more people can hear you say, hey, look, I still fall back.
Yeah.
Over and over, to understand that, yes, you're the miracle man, but you're also a person.
Yeah. Yeah. Humanity, right? I mean, being a human being. And in fact, I did something similar the other day. I posted a picture of my Miracle Morning area on, and if you don't follow me on Instagram, you can go see this. It was just a few days ago. And it was my Miracle Morning area. And it had so many books, and not on the shelf. I had a bookshelf off to the side that you didn't see in the picture, but it was like, I just have stacks and stacks and stacks of books. And I go, hey, does anybody else struggle with this? Where you buy books faster than you can possibly read them, and you're overwhelmed with more books, and I can't put them all away on the shelf, because I'm like, every time I pick up a book and I go, oh no, I need that one. Then I pick up another book, I'm like, I can't put that away. I need that one, right? I need to improve my marriage. I need to improve my health. I need to improve my parenting. I need to improve my financial success. So yeah, so that was just an example of I don't have it all figured out. Life is a constant journey, but I will say, you mentioned tools and resources. For sure, I've developed, I'm always cultivating the optimal mindset that I possibly can. I'm cultivating self-discipline, habits. So it does become easier to deal with, being a human being, the more knowledge and resources and habits and discipline and, self-love and all of that you give to yourself every day. And for me, that Miracle Morning practice, I've done it almost every day for 17 years. It is the linchpin practice of my life. It is the practice that enables me to optimize my physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being every single day, and develop those tools.
I have some amazing news. Silence Your Inner Critic was nominated for 2 different book awards, the International Book Awards and the Book Fest Awards. And I'm so grateful. I want to give it away for free. We have an amazing opportunity if you click below right now, where you can get Silence Your Inner Critic plus a whole bunch of amazing resources, up to $200 worth. All you have to do is cover shipping and it'll come right to your door. Again, just click below and get your copy now. What I love about it, it made a huge impact in my life as well. It's approachable. You can attempt to make excuses, but then you're just making excuses, right? So, what have you personally found is the top excuse someone makes for not integrating this into their life? I just want to put it out there so that we can, for our audience and our community who's listening to this, who will probably fall back on that excuse. Yeah. Because I've probably made the excuse myself on mornings where I'm like, no, I'm this.
Yeah.
What is it?
I mean, the first excuse, right? There's layers of excuses depending on what stage you're at. First excuse is I'm not a morning person, right? Like I'm not a morning person, or I'm too busy, right? Those are probably the top two in the front end. Not a morning person, too busy. And if you're not a morning person, join the club. 72% of the 3 million Miracle Morning practitioners around the world identify, whenever we survey our audience, that say, I was not a morning person before I read the Miracle Morning. And most say they did not believe they could become one, or did they even want to become one. And so when I wrote the book, it was really holding someone's hand psychologically, mentally, and emotionally from not a morning person, I'm too busy, to like, okay, well, it's hard to argue with the idea that how I start my day does set the tone for the rest of the day. So if I win the morning, I put myself in a peak state to win the rest of the day. All right, I can't argue with that. Oh, I guess I could just take a baby step and just wake up like 10 minutes earlier tomorrow, make it like really easy. I don't have to do all the Miracle Morning practices. I can just pick one, right? So that the entire book is designed to take someone who is not a morning person and too busy, to hold their hand to where they're like, all right, I'll try it tomorrow. Then they do. And they're like, whoa, that feels good. I started my day in a more effective way than I usually do. Well, I'll try it again tomorrow. And then it's like, and then you build on it. And all of a sudden, within a few weeks, you're doing a full-blown Miracle Morning. You're meditating, journaling, doing affirmations, visualizing, right? You're getting exercise. I mean, everything. And now it's like, wow, if I start every day like this, there's nothing that I can't accomplish, because I can become the version of myself that's capable of overcoming or accomplishing anything that I want to in my life.
Yes. And it does work.
Yeah.
Because I was not I could be a morning person, but I was the stereotypical, I'm too busy. I can't integrate this into my day. There's no chance. I have to get up and get straight to, whatever work was ahead of me.
Yep.
And your stair-step approach is so key to that, because how could I make an excuse that I couldn't do one piece of this? Just one.
Yeah, that's what I always tell people whenever I give I speak on the Miracle Morning, a few times a month around the world, and every speech I give ends with the Miracle Morning 30-day challenge. And the challenge is not to wake up an hour earlier or wake up at 5 a.m. It's to wake up 10 to 30 minutes earlier, right? Just a little bit earlier. And it's not to do all, the Miracle Morning is made up of 6 practices that you can do in as little as 6 minutes or as much as an hour, anywhere in between. But it's not to do all 6. It's just do one. And the savers, for those that don't know, and we'll probably get more into this, but those are the 6 habits of the Miracle Morning are organized into the acronym SAVERS. The S for silence, it's your prayer, your meditation, your breath work. The A for affirmations, V for visualization, E for exercise, R for reading, and the final S is for scribing. And I always say, just wake up and do the R. Just read. If you know how to read, which 99.999% of people that I'm talking to know how to read, right? So it's like you just wake up and you read the Miracle Morning. And then after, a few days or a week or two, you get to the chapter on silence and you integrate silence into your Miracle Morning. Now you're doing the R and the S, reading in a little bit of silence. And then you get to the chapter on affirmations and you add affirmations in, and then, right? So it's like day by day, little by little, you just build that habit. But it just starts with the R, right? Just wake up a little bit earlier, brush your teeth, drink some water, and start reading.
And you so kindly sent me your book, which I really appreciate, but you sent me an extra one as a gift.
Yes.
And what I would like to do, since we just talked about a 30-day challenge, is anyone who's listening to this, who's part of our Heart Leader community, let's do a 30-day challenge together.
Love it.
For your book. And if somebody would like this copy that you gave me to gift them, all they have to do is post in the comments below, free gift, and we'll do kind of a lottery draw.
Love
and we will send this to them so that they have this beautifully signed copy from you via this podcast. So wherever you're listening to this, just write free gift from Hal, and we'll make sure that you get it. We'll get in contact with you and make sure you get it.
Hey, thank you, Amber. I love that you're doing that.
Heck yeah. You are such a giving soul. So we just want to continue to perpetuate that. So, and it works. I mean, as people get stronger together, our whole world gets stronger together. And we see that message from you. And it's a shared message. So let's just continue to do that together.
And thank you. Love that.
But I also want to touch base on the fact that you are the person that everyone turns to in so many ways. You've helped millions of people. Does that ever start to feel heavy for you?
I appreciate that question. I don't get asked that. No, but I don't think so. And the reason is, to me, I don't get attached to the outcome or the results. At least I try not to. I just try to be the light, right? So it's like the lighthouse is not attached to who sees the light or how far the light shines. It's just shining its light without attachment, right? So that's, for me, it's like, I'm just going to wake up every day. I'm going to do my miracle morning and become the best version of myself. And then I'm going to show up with all the love and the energy and the enthusiasm and the care that I can, and not be attached to how many lives that impacts, right? And it is the whole mindset of like, if this just changes one person's life, it was worth it. And I feel that way about life. Some people think it's quantity over quality. In fact, I used to believe, before I got cancer, I was very attached to quantity over quality, meaning I thought, I'm here to change millions of lives and help humanity. And I was choosing humanity over my family. And I wasn't aware of it. If you would have asked me, I was 37 years old, if you would have said, Hal, is your family the number one priority in your life? I would have said without hesitation, yes. Now, if you would have said, hey, can I look at your schedule and just make sure that it's in alignment with what you just said? I would have been nervous. I would have gone, well, but no. I have a new book coming out this week. So I've been having to work a little bit late, and I had to miss last Saturday with my family because, right. I mean, that was my reality. And I was in denial or just not aware. And then when I got cancer, I realized, I'm a workaholic, and I say family's number one, but my time does not reflect that. And so now I wake my kids up for school in the morning. I help get them ready. I drive, I take my son to school. I pick my daughter up from school, which, by the way, cuts my workday by 3 hours. And that affects my income. It affects my productivity, right? But I've decided that's what matters most to me. I've decided that at the end of my life, the amount of income that I gave up or the amount of productivity that I gave up will not matter, but the time that I spent with my kids, the conversations that we had in the car, the music we listened to, like that matters more to me than anything. And so that was taking what I learned during the cancer journey about, I'm out of alignment with what I say matters most to me. And it was moving more in alignment with what matters most to me. So.
Do you ever find that there are times where it's easy to almost flip back into the previous behavior? Yeah. And I only ask even selfishly for myself, because like you, I went through multiple cancer battles, and you get to a point where, it changes your whole perspective. Yeah. I can't take money with me. Yeah. But I can take the feeling of shining the light through me and the connection of my family. Those memories, that energy, that's what I know goes with me. But you get into this world and the doing seems to be the pattern of behavior. And so suddenly it can get back in somehow. And I would love to hear your take on how you reset the moment that can almost find a sneaky little way back in the back door.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great question. And the answer is, I mean, the unsexy answer is scheduling, right? Like that's literally it. It's that my schedule. So the fact that I take my kids to school every day, that forces me to not be working during those 3 hours and being with them, you know? So it's making those commitments. It's a commitment to not work on the weekends and just focus on family. In fact, even my miracle morning is heavily focused on spirituality. It is every day. It's focused on spirituality and family, but it's also focused on work and business and impact. On the weekends, and I'm not perfect. Sometimes I'll have some work in there, but I strive to make it all about spirituality, self, family, etc., so that I'm really diving deep into um, being the best version of myself, and also being the best husband and being the best father. And so the weekends is kind of like, because during the week, I work Monday through Friday. I don't work on Saturday, Sunday. And so I want to align my miracle morning with what my priorities are for the day, because the miracle morning does set the tone for the day. So if your miracle morning's focused on your work goals on Saturday, and then your kids come downstairs or come in the room or whatever, right? Like you're not necessarily, you haven't been focused on the thing that's going to matter the rest of that day. And now you have to shift gears from like, oh, I was working that morning, and now I got to shift gears and be dad or be mom, and be husband or wife, right? Like so my weekends are really focused as well on miracle morning in the morning, but for my family and for myself. Yeah.
It shows that you walk your own walk, right? You're not just talking it, you're implementing it in your own life, which means you know it works. Being someone who gets to be in service of many, I know often I have individuals who will come up and share their life experience based on what they have either gathered from what we've shared or something they've read in a book. And sometimes it'll bring me to tears
Mm.
because we never know how it lands for people. As you said, we just put it out there, and however it propagates out. Have you ever had something like that where someone has just walked up to you and here you go? And it's almost like receiving a gift back for all of the energy and the light that you've shared?
Yeah, whenever I speak, almost every time I give a speech now, I have someone in the audience, usually multiple people that come up and after I'm done speaking or before, and share how the miracle morning changed their life. In fact, yesterday I gave a virtual speech, a virtual keynote to 2,000 people for a company, and one of the comments that caught my eye, there was a lot of them that said the miracle morning changed my life, and one in particular said, when I discovered the miracle morning book, it changed my life. I would love to tell you how, but it's so profound, and it was in so many ways. And I'm paraphrasing what they said, but this was the essence. They said, they go, I can't put it in writing here in a comment, you know? And I was like, that's just incredible, you know? And I spoke in Sacramento for a nonprofit called Logan's Little Warriors last week. And um this guy came up to me on stage after I spoke. I was just doing like meet and greet photo op, and he came up and he showed me his phone, and it was a picture of he and I 11 years ago at an event in Sacramento. And he just, a tear ran down his cheek, and he said, you taught me the miracle morning, in 2014, I believe, 11 years ago. And he said, I was trying to get off of drugs at the time. And he said, and it was the thing that totally changed my life. I still do it every day, 11 years later. And I just want to thank you. And he hugged, we hugged each other. And yeah, so I mean, that it's so, it's so meaningful. Whenever I have that, uh, it like reignites, it just fuels the fire of like, oh yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. Because for me, the miracle morning is old news, right? It's like, I've been doing this for 17 years. I've shared it bazillion times. But every time I share it, I try to share it like it is brand new. And it's not hard for me, actually. Like, it's not hard, because every day I read Facebook comments, Instagram comments, Amazon reviews. I meet people like that gentleman, and And I'm reminded that this is new. Like here's one way to put it is I frame it in my mind as, 3-4 million people may have read the Miracle Morning. That means there's 8 billion people that have never heard of it. And it is my responsibility to spend arguably the rest of my life sharing the Miracle Morning as if it were the first time I shared it, with enthusiasm and love and joy and passion and from a place of service, because there's 8 billion people that I still have to reach. So I'm literally in that way, like just getting started.
And the fact that you're now creating it in ways that targets like different age brackets and different approaches, that is incredibly meaningful too, because the Miracle Morning as it stands hits all of us. But then there is that, okay, but how then can I direct it specifically for my life? And the fact that you are creating those layers.
The way that started, Ryan Snow is someone I used to sell Cutco with. And he then went on to be very successful in real estate, and he had a team of real estate agents. And he reached out to me about a year after the Miracle Morning book had come out. And he said, Hal, I gifted the Miracle Morning to our entire team. And he said, roughly half of them have read it and are actually doing their Miracle Morning, and half have not. He said, the half that have read it, all of their sales are up. And the half that have not read it, their sales are not up. He said, that cannot be a coincidence. He said, so have you ever thought about writing the Miracle Morning for salespeople and doing like a custom edition, and like making, maybe the first fourth of it is like Miracle Morning recap, and then it's applying specific sales strategies to your Miracle Morning, and or vice versa. I go, that's a great idea. And so then that's where the series started. And then I met Honore Corder, who helped me to produce these books, and we created the Miracle Morning for salespeople, for college students, for parents and families, for writers, for real estate agents. And it's been a few years since we had a Miracle Morning book come out, because I'm just focused on other things. And then that's now this Miracle Morning After 50, right? This is the first series book in about 3 years. And I think it's the best one. I mean, there's more research and science in this book, and that's all because of my co-author and his approach to like brain health and cellular health and longevity. And, and then I brought in like the purpose, and so did he, but the purpose and finding meaning in the second half of life, and all of it.
I love it. Well, I can't wait to get my hands on that one now.
Yeah. And I don't know if I said this, but I should tell, there's a specific website to go to get the bonuses for the Miracle Morning After 50 book. So miraclemorningafter50.com. You can go there to pre-order it. Now, if you already pre-ordered it on Amazon and you didn't know about this, you can still go to miraclemorningafter50.com and submit your receipt, and you'll get 4 bonus chapters: the Miracle Mind, the Miracle Body, the Miracle Spirit, and the Miracle Evening After 50. And then you'll get a ticket to the Miracle Morning After 50, the live event with me and Dwayne J. Clark, the co-author, that'll be in December. And so all of those free bonuses are only when you pre-order. And again, whether that's on Amazon or go directly to miraclemorningafter50.com, and that's where you get all the bonuses.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I almost forgot. Yeah.
It's incredible to be able to order something that speaks directly to you and have a bonus pack that comes with it. So thank you. I know as an author, it takes a lot to create all of that and get it out there. So thanks for doing all of that for those of us who get to receive it. Now, I heard you mention for spirit in there, which leads me to the whole connection and something I feel from you so greatly these couple of times that we've gotten to talk. And that is this whole spiritual essence of you that flows so strongly into your work. When I got the Miracle Morning and I really flowed through it, I bought it, and then I got it on Audible, and I kept listening to it. And you can feel how spiritually connected you are, that soul that flows through you, that light, as you put it. How did that originate? I don't know a better way to ask it.
I guess it would originate at conception, right? When I was born. But that God energy. How do I describe this? So I was raised Catholic, so I've always believed in God and had God as part of my life. I was an altar boy, like I went through the whole thing of communion and confirmation and all of the Catholic rituals as I grew up. And then in my 20s, I started after my car accident. Right when I was 20 years old, I almost died, or I technically died for 6 minutes. I was hit head on by a drunk driver. My car was hit head on by a drunk driver at 70 miles per hour. A second vehicle crashed into my driver's side door at 70 miles per hour, and my heart stopped. I was dead for 6 minutes without a heartbeat. I then was rushed, airlifted to the hospital, spent 6 days in a coma. When I came out of the coma, I was told I would never walk again and that I had permanent brain damage. And I don't care what age you are, never good to hear you're not going to walk again. But at 20, it was like my whole life is ahead of me and I'm not going to walk. And I had learned something called the 5 minute rule in my Cutco sales training a year and a half prior. And the 5 minute rule says it's okay to be negative when something goes wrong, but not for more than 5 minutes. And we were literally taught set your timer for 5 minutes when you experience a challenge, adversity, whatever it is, big or small, and feel the emotions, get upset, feel sorry for yourself, bitch, moan, complain, cry. When the timer goes off, you say three very liberating words, which are can't change it. And it's acknowledgement. I can't change what happened. So am I going to continue to stay upset over it and dwell on it? Or am I going to accept it because I can't change it and therefore allow myself to simply be at peace? I might not be happy that it happened, but I can be at peace. And peace is far more rooted and lasting than the emotion of happiness that can change when you get a bad news, bad phone call, whatever. And so I had lived that philosophy, that 5 minute rule for a year and a half. And when my car accident happened, it quickly came to my mind. Now, and to be honest, it did not take me 5 minutes to accept it, Amber, but it literally took 5 days. I mean, it was like processing this. What does this mean? What does my future look like? If I'm in a wheelchair the rest of my life, what will life be like in a wheelchair? And I realized the 5 minute rule still applies. I can't change that I was in a car accident. I can't change that I broke 11 bones. I can't change that I have permanent brain damage. And if I'm in a wheelchair for the rest of my life, I will have to apply the 5 minute rule to that, and I can't change it. So what will that mean? And I decided I'll be the happiest, most grateful person I've ever been that while I'm in a wheelchair. And so I share all of that, because for anyone listening, the 5 minute rule is something that I believe it's one of the most powerful little tools that I've ever applied in my life. I still apply it to this day, where something bad happens. I set the timer for 5 minutes and I give myself 5 minutes to feel my emotions, but also to work my mind into a positive mindset. Like, okay, I can't change it. What does this mean? What can I learn from this? What can I change? What can I do moving forward? 5 minute timer goes off. I have processed it from accepting it, asking what I can learn, and then asking what I can do moving forward. And now I'm at peace. And now I'm able to focus on what I can control. And I've applied that to cancer. I've applied that to financial challenges, relationship challenges, you name it. And this is not a direct answer to your question, but now I want to bring it full circle, which is you asked how I became spiritual. Well, after my car accident, I started reading all sorts of books on Eastern philosophy, Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, enlightenment, you name it. And I really wanted to study all types of spiritual disciplines and religions and various perspectives so that I could gain not just, my Catholic upbringing, which was one perspective of billions. I mean, right? I mean, I think religion alone, there's over 2,000 world religions, something like that, including all the variations. And I want to understand how different people from different backgrounds and different regions in the world and cultures, how they view this thing, this person, this being, this creator that God, we call God, or Allah or whatever. And because I'm just a big believer that I don't believe that one set of people got it right and everyone else got it wrong. I cannot wrap my head around that. I cannot reconcile that. For me, I look at religion as humanity's attempt to explain and understand the unexplainable that we only can theorize on. And so anyway, with all of that, I started really seeking enlightenment and spirituality and all of that. And to this day, it's like the core of my miracle morning practice is it starts with prayer. It starts with meditation. It starts with communing with God, meaning I'm a big believer that intellectualizing God, which is I think what a lot of folks do, is like I read, whether it's, I read my religious text and here are the things I believe about God. And it's like, okay, but do you actually allow yourself to go deep into a meditative state where you can feel like you are in communion with God? You are experiencing God, which nature is one of my favorite ways. I usually go for a walk in the morning and I continue my prayer and meditation on that walk. And I'm like, wow, my two favorite phrases are thank you, God, and I love you, God. Those are my two favorite phrases. And not like I'm going kind of deep into this path, but I believe that's the access point to heaven. I do not believe heaven, not that it doesn't exist after life, but I believe it exists. I think it was the Bible that said the kingdom of God is within. I think there's another passage that talks about the kingdom of heaven being within, something along those lines. And so for me, it's like, don't don't just intellectualize God, experience God, and don't think that you're just supposed to live this life and suffer and struggle so that one day you can attain heaven. It's like, no, I believe the kingdom of God is within, and it is our responsibility and our opportunity to experience that truth, not intellectually, but experientially every single day.
If I wouldn't go out of camera, I would stand up and applaud right now.
Thanks.
That's incredible. And the thing is, I could feel that.
Mm.
I could feel that in your work. I could feel that in your voice when you were reading your book. It comes through you. And that sparks me to really feel the same in me. So when we talk about sharing the light, to me, that is, we can even take it to a quantum science kind of aspect. If we want to talk about science, right? That's why I went and got my degree in quantum sciences, physics, thermodynamic, like all of this stuff. I wanted to understand there is this whole point of going through the motions, which is one part, and it helps us, right? But then there's going through the experience. And to me, that helps fuel this miracle that you're talking about.
Yeah. The miracle that is life, right? That is you. I open up the Miracle Morning book by saying when we're babies, we are referred to as the miracle of life, right? With our limitless potential, the future is whatever right? This little baby, it's going to grow up and be amazing. And then somewhere along the way, we get beat up and, chewed up and spit out and jaded and right. And we lose sight of the miracle that we are living, but it's still who we are. It's still the essence of everything that we are, they're again referencing, that we are made in the image and likeness of God. I don't think that means that we look like God. I think that means that we are made of the same, and to your point, quantum physics, right? The same energetic forces, the same love. We are creators. We are little mini versions of God. I love my favorite visual analogy of that is if God is the ocean, we are all droplets of water, right? Indistinguishable, right? But one is just collective, the collective consciousness. And then each of us are experiencing that droplet of consciousness that is coming through our senses and our experience.
What an amazing visual. Heck yeah. I love it. I'm going to shift gears just a little bit since we have, about 10 minutes or so left. Business, because our whole focus is where heart and mind align. So we have individuals who are everything from leading their families with love and leading their lives with love to leading their businesses with love. So if there are entrepreneurs who are listening to this and they see you as this magnificent entrepreneur who has created something that they aspire to create, what would you say to them as the mark for where they're striving to get to now that you can look back in hindsight and say, I've Kind of walk this path and now let me be a guide.
Yeah, the first thing that I'll say is that most of us live with this sense of um, not not enoughness, and not just our own self. Like I'm not enough, but I haven't accomplished enough. I haven't done enough, and we also live with this sense of like urgency of I want to be further ahead than I am. It's a resistance of reality, by the way, right? It's a sense of delusion. It's a state of delusion where I want to be where he is or she is, or I'm not as far along as I wanted to be at this stage in my life, where it's taking me longer. And one of my favorite stories, real life examples of this was when I self published The Miracle Morning on December 12th, 2012. So that's 12, 12, 12. I picked a date that I could not forget, right? And my goal, my mission, I called it my mission, was to change 1 million lives one morning at a time. And I set a 1 year timeline. So what that meant, practically speaking, was I want to sell 1 million copies of The Miracle Morning this year, my first year, and change 1 million lives one morning at a time. And that was the reason I picked that number, is because it's just a magical big number, right? Like 1 million, I'm going to change 1 million lives. I had no basis. There was no data. I was an unknown author. I didn't have an audience. I didn't have a way to reach 1 million people. I was just like stepping out on faith. I'm going to change 1 million lives one morning at a time. And that year I did everything in my power to reach 1 million people and sell 1 million copies of The Miracle Morning. I was on 152 podcasts from zero. I had never been on a podcast, and I got on 152 podcasts by myself. I had no agents. There were no agencies back then, right? 2012. So I got on 152 podcasts. I launched my own podcast to add value and build the Miracle Morning audience. And so I did 52 of my own episodes. I gave 36 speeches around the country. I was on 12 morning TV talk shows. And I was on social media every day, engaging and adding value. I did everything in my power to sell 1 million books, Amber. And I was short of my goal by 987,000. So I sold 13,000 of the million that I was working towards. And I'm sharing this because if you can relate to that, where you're like, yeah, I've tried to achieve these results and they're not happening as fast as I want. At the end of that year, I felt discouraged, like many people would. I doubted myself. I actually did the math. If you get a calculator out and you divide 1 million divided by 13,000, it will take 77 years to reach 1 million people at that rate. And I would have been 107 years old or something like that, over 110. And so I go, man, what am I going to do? And I know that sometimes our timeline is off, right? There's like that story about how God laughs when you're making plans. He has his own timeline, something like that, right? And so I go, I'm going to try again. I'm just going to commit to do it as long as it takes. And I remember thinking maybe it'll take me 30 years to reach 1 million people, but this work is so important that I'm willing to spend the next 30 years to reach those 1 million people. Keep in mind, I wasn't making a lot of money. Right? My efforts were not paying off in the short term. So year 2, I tried again. I did everything in my power to reach 1 million people, and I sold 23,000 books. So now I'm at 30 something thousand, which, those are great if you're looking at zero. But like most humans, I wasn't measuring the gain from zero. I was measuring the gap between 1 million, right? And so I tried again year 2. I met my agent who got the Miracle Morning translated in 42 languages. It was a chance meeting. And now the book started going viral in Brazil and Korea and Spain and France and all around the world, which couldn't have planned for that in year 1. But here's the moral of the story. It took me 6 years. 6 years after the Miracle Morning self-published, I sold over 1 million copies. And now it's over 3.5 million copies. And so here is the lesson for any entrepreneur listening. When you finally get to the point that you're working so hard for, and you've worked so long to get there, and it's felt like it was never going to happen, when you finally get there, which you only get there by continuing to maintain unwavering faith that you can, and put forth extraordinary effort consistently, day after day after day after day, for as long as it takes. When you finally get there at that 6-year mark, I didn't wish it would have happened any sooner. Instead, you look back with hindsight and you go, oh, it had to take this long. I had to go through those challenges and meet that person in year 2 that led to that opportunity in year 3, that led to that amazing result in year 4, that led to that new relationship in year 5. Right? Like, it had to play out the way that it did. So my final words on that are, whatever you're working for in your life right now, nothing can stop you from getting there except for you. And it will probably take longer than you think. And all you have to do is maintain unwavering faith and put forth extraordinary effort for as long as it takes until it finally happens. And when it does, it'll be the perfect timing. So right now, be at peace with where you are while you wake up with energy and passion and love and from a spirit of service, of adding value, and enjoy every day, because this is life. It's happening right now every day. And then you will get there. It might take you 10 years to be an overnight success, but when you get there, you'll go, oh, the timing is perfect. And thank you, God, that I had to go through everything I did, because it made me into the person that I needed to be enjoying and experiencing the life that I have now created.
You have so many moments where I just want to stand up and yes, it is so easy to think, oh, again, oh, Hal, it was so easy for him. The Miracle Morning bestseller, that it just happened for him. And there, you just said it took you 6 years. It didn't just happen for you, right? It was hard work, and it took a lot of effort and a lot of push.
Yeah. And overcoming a lot of self-doubt, right? Like, yeah, it wasn't easy. It was definitely not easy. And my wife can attest to all of that, because she was in the background cheering me on and dealing with my rejection. And I remember getting my first 1-star Amazon review, and I was like, I read it to her. I'm like, sweetie, how could they say this? Like, I work so hard on this book, and I'm trying to help people, and they're saying these horrible things about it and about me. And, right. And then now, there's 33,000 reviews on the Miracle Morning book on Amazon. And it's the updated and expanded edition, by the way, for those that don't know, right? Like, this is a new edition of the book that I added 70 pages of new content last year. But of the 33,000 reviews, the average is 4.6, but there's probably 1,000, reviews that are 1, 2, 3-star reviews that are like painful to read. Right. But yeah, it's all part of the journey.
It really is. And that was a difficult thing to overcome too. Coming into this, and a great thing to just kind of share with everyone. Not everyone's going to resonate with your message.
Totally true.
But that's also how you know that you're sharing something that is helping others that have been waiting to hear that message for a very long time.
I agree.
Right. So I, again, want to bring up that let's do the 30-day challenge. Let's do it together. That way we can, as a Heart Leader community, share and support each other. And we'll give some details in the show notes below for how to do all of that, because I don't want to waste another single second that we have here as we're wrapping up with you. I want to take a moment in this closing moment to just say, how can people get in touch with you? Let's make sure not only will they see it in the show notes below, but they can hear how to order your new book, how to find you. What do you have coming up that they can attend?
Yeah, the hub for all things Miracle Morning is miraclemorning.com. For those that don't know, there is a full feature-length documentary, a 90-minute feature-length documentary featuring me, of course, Mel Robbins, Brendan Burchard, Robin Sharma, Layla Ali, Robert Kiyosaki, you name it. And it showcases my cancer journey, because I was diagnosed with cancer halfway through the film. You can watch that free at miraclemorning.com. There's the app. You can download the Miracle Morning app. But again, miraclemorning.com is the hub where you can find everything, including bringing me in to speak. If somebody wants me to speak to your company or your nonprofit or something, you can find that there as well.
And do you have any parting wisdom that you would like to share with the community that is dedicated to heart leadership, leading their lives with love, and knowing that feeling doesn't mean that we don't think, and that when we lead with heart, it actually helps support all of the things that we have going on in our mind?
Yeah, there's a quote that I open my keynote speeches with. It's up on the screen. It's my picture of my family and then this quote. And then I circle back and I close my keynote out with this quote. So I think it's fitting for this. And it says, the greatest gift you can give to those you love and those you lead is to wake up every day and fulfill your potential so that you can help them to fulfill theirs. Thank you, Amber. It's been such a pleasure.
I appreciate you greatly.